Aspire to a clean career, leaving no shame for descendants. Hello everyone. Welcome to Encountering Chinese Case Stories. Cases judged by Bao Gong. Today, I'm going to bring you a story called Committing Suicide by Chewing the Tongue. In Xi'an Prefecture, there was a wealthy man named Mia Chonggui. Mia Chonggui had a vast fortune and 4 sons with his wife, Tang Shi. Their sons were eldest son Kexiao, second son Kedi, third son Kejong, and youngest son Kursan. Kexiao mainly managed household affairs, while Kedi engaged in business outside. Kejong excelled in his studies, achieving excellent grades. He also personally taught his younger brother Kursan to read, and the two had the closest relationship, with Kursan always following Kejong closely. In the imperial examination of that year, Kejong unfortunately failed to pass, and he fell ill, confined to bed. Kursan diligently cared for Kejong every day. Knowing that his sister-in-law, Shuzhen, was remarkably beautiful, Kursan worried that his brother's critical condition might be exacerbated by the sight of her beauty, so he decided to move his brother to the study, hoping that quiet rest might preserve his life. However, Shuzhen, deeply in love with her husband, refused to let him leave the room, insisting the patient should not be moved, and there is no one to look after him in the study. It's best for him to stay in the bedroom so that I can feed him his medicine on time. Upon hearing Shuzhen's words, Kursan felt relieved, believing that his brother and sister-in-law genuinely loved each other and were not motivated by lust. When relatives and friends came to inquire about Kejong's condition, they all attributed his illness to excessive study. However, Kursan sighed and said, "My elder brother's inability to rise is not due to his academic hardships. Throughout history, how many heroes have died at the hands of women, let alone my elder brother?" With tears streaming down his face, he left the visitors feeling shocked and awkward, and they soon departed. Not long after, Kejong was critically ill, and his wife, Shuzhen, urgently called his younger brother Kursan to come. When Kursan saw his brother, he was furious. He said to his sister-in-law, "A few days ago, you didn't listen to my advice and refused to let third brother move to the study to recuperate. Now, why did you call me here again?" Shuzhen had no words to reply, and could only stand by, shedding tears in silence. Kursan walked to the bedside, where Kejong, with tears streaming down his face, said to him, "I am beyond saving now. You must study hard and strive to pass the imperial examination, not to disappoint my trust in you. Your sister-in-law is chaste and still young. You must take good care of her for me." With that, Kejong passed away. Kursan, grief-stricken by his brother's death, meticulously handled his brother's funeral arrangements, ensuring that all necessary items were prepared. He also showed great respect to Shuzhen. Since Kejong's death, everyone in the family has felt great pity for his wife, Shuzhen. 7 days later, the family held a grand memorial service and invited monks and Taoists to conduct rites for Kejong's passing. Shuzhen was the most distressed. She refused to eat or drink for several days and became extremely thin and weak in less than half a month. It wasn't until 3 months later, after being comforted by her parents and constantly encouraged by elders, sisters-in-law, and relatives, that Shuzhen was able to reluctantly resume normal eating habits, and her appearance gradually returned to normal. Although Shuzhen didn't wear jewelry or makeup, her natural beauty and slender figure still captivated hearts. Moreover, Shuzhen adhered to principles. She was quiet by nature and conducted herself with integrity, never doing anything contrary to etiquette. As time passed, the anniversary of Kejong's death was approaching. Shuzhen's father, Jiang Guangua, arranged a solemn memorial ceremony and personally came to mourn his deceased son-in-law. Jiang Guangua also invited his nephew, Jiang Jiayan, who was a Taoist priest at the Purple Cloud Temple. Jiang Jiayan brought along his disciple, Jiang Daheng, as well as his grand disciples, Jiang Shihua and Yan Huayuan, to organize a grand ritual for Kejong. However, Kursun was not very pleased with this arrangement. He said to Jiang Guangua, "Thank you for your deep friendship towards my brother Kejong, but what you're doing doesn't have any practical significance." Jiang Guangua, upon hearing Kursun's words, became somewhat angry and privately said to his daughter, Shuzhen, "I came here to mourn your husband out of goodwill, but your little brother-in-law is so disrespectful to me. He even refuses to hold a ceremony for his deceased brother. I'm sure he doesn't treat you well either." Shuzhen sighed in response. Kursun wanted Kejong to be moved to the study, but I insisted on him staying in the bedroom for me to take care of him. However, Kejong still passed away. Kursun has always blamed me for this. It's been almost a year now, and he still refuses to see me. With his attitude towards me, he can hardly be considered a good person. Hearing this, Jiang Guangua became even more displeased with Kursun. When the ritual was about to end and it was time to mourn the deceased, Jiang Guangua once again called Shuzhen and said, "These Taoist priests are all relatives of our family. You don't need to be shy. You can go directly to Kejong's spirit to pay your respects." Shuzhen, already overwhelmed with grief, cried as she approached her husband's spirit to pay her respects. Her sorrow was evident, and the Taoist priests also felt sorry for her. Only Taoist Yan Huayuan saw Shuzhen, but in his heart, he thought, "I often hear people say that Shuzhen is a beauty. Now, seeing her dressed in mourning clothes, she still looks so elegant. If she were to smile, she must be extraordinarily beautiful. To earn her admiration would truly be something to envy." After the late-night completion of the ritual, several Taoists came to bid farewell to Jiang Guangua. Jiang Guangua said to them, "Jiayan, Daheng, and Shihua are all relatives of our family, so there's no need to worry too much about formalities. Only Mr. Yan is from another family, so I should express my gratitude generously." Afterwards, Shuzhen prepared extra money as a gift for him. However, to everyone's surprise, Yan Huayuan had ulterior motives. While outwardly expressing his gratitude and leaving first, he secretly hid in the attic. When the night was quiet, he emitted sounds like a rat. Shuzhen, holding a candle, carefully inspected the area, but Yan Huayuan swiftly slipped a sedative into her bowl. Subsequently, Shuzhen, in a state of confusion due to the drug, unknowingly embraced Yan Huayuan and slept with him. It wasn't until dawn, when the effects of the drug wore off, that Shuzhen realized she had been drugged and raped. Feeling her honor tarnished, she felt utterly desolate and chose to end her life by biting her tongue. After achieving his immoral desires, Yan Huayuan quietly fled the scene, leaving behind the money Shuzhen had given him as a gift, which he had hidden in her embrace as a token of gratitude. Early the next morning, the maid Zhuxiang prepared breakfast and brought water for washing into Shuzhen's room, only to find that the mistress was nowhere to be found. She then went upstairs to search and was shocked to discover Shuzhen lying dead on the felt mattress. Zhuxiang was greatly alarmed and immediately reported the matter to Kexiao and Keshin, saying, "Madam has died upstairs." Kexiao and Keshin hurried to the attic and found Shuzhen indeed lifeless. Everyone was in a state of panic, quickly instructing the maids to carry Shuzhen's body to lay in state, but during the transport, the envelope containing the gift money fell out. Zhuxiang picked up the envelope from behind and secretly concealed it. At that moment, Jiang Guangguo was staying in his son-in-law's study. Upon hearing the news of his daughter Shuzhen's death, he immediately exclaimed, "It must be Keshin who killed Shuzhen." He rushed into the back hall in tears, filled with sorrow and anger, and shouted at Keshin, "My daughter was strong-willed, and she had no illness whatsoever. Yet she suddenly died in the dead of night. There must be a reason. Since you detested my son-in-law dying in the room and rejected me holding a memorial for him, you must have taken advantage of the situation to commit a heinous act and raped my daughter. My daughter loathed you to the core, which led her to bite her tongue and die." He then went to Bao Gong's yamen to accuse Keshin of disregarding familial relationships and murdering his sister-in-law. In his complaint, he wrote, "According to customs, moral values must be upheld, and the paramount concern in life is to respect familial relationships. According to moral standards, men and women should not be overly intimate, otherwise, abnormal behavior may arise. My daughter married the scholar Mia Kejong as his wife, but unfortunately, Kejong passed away, and my daughter willingly remained faithful to him. However, Mia Keshin harbored lustful desires and often leered at his sister-in-law's beauty, which led to immoral thoughts. After the ceremony that day, he speculated that Shuzhen was exhausted, so he suddenly entered the inner quarters and forcibly violated her. Shuzhen, feeling ashamed, bit her tongue and died from spitting blood. Such a scandal is despicable, and I, Jiang Guangguo, cannot bear to see my daughter Shuzhen's tragedy. I must ensure that the culprit is brought to justice. Keshin's killing of his sister-in-law is justified and supported by evidence. I hope, Bao Gong, that you will help me seek justice and punish him." At that moment, Keshin heard of Jiang Guangguo accusing him of raping his sister-in-law, and he was immediately overwhelmed with shame and guilt. Tormented by unbearable pain, he felt both sorrow and anger, and in a fit of rage, he vomited copious amounts of blood and fainted on the spot. Kursan's soul arrived in the underworld, where he met Kejong, kneeling and crying out for help. Tearfully, Kejong said to him, "The one responsible for your sister-in-law's untimely death is that wicked Taoist, Yan Huayuan. The evidence left behind is a packet of money, in the hands of the servant girl Zhuxiang. Your sister-in-law's cause of death has been recorded by the judges of the underworld. You only need to take the judge's registry to see Bao Gong, and the injustice will naturally come to light. I will also help you in the underworld. Return to the mortal realm. You must seek justice for Shuzhen, remember, remember." Soon after, Keshin regained consciousness, only to find that a day had passed. Bao Gong urgently summoned him, and Keshin had to quickly prepare a complaint to explain the entire situation. In the complaint, he wrote, "The sudden death of the living, with an unknown cause, the sudden resurrection of the dead, proves innocence. My sister-in-law died by her own hand after being raped by someone, but her death was too abrupt, leaving no clues about the perpetrator. When her father came to the yamen to seek justice for his daughter's death, while it is understandable, he did not diligently investigate and confirm, instead stubbornly accusing an innocent person as the culprit. I regarded my brother as my teacher and my sister-in-law as my mother. Although we had differences in our daily lives, I treated her with the utmost respect and never harbored any immoral thoughts. The one who harmed my sister-in-law is a Taoist named Yan Huayuan. Her father's unfounded accusations have allowed the villain to escape punishment while the innocent suffer injustice. I cannot accept being punished in place of the villain while being unable to seek justice for the deceased. Bao Gong carefully examined Keshin's complaint and summoned the plaintiff Jiang Guanghua to confront Keshin. Jiang Guanghua said, "When my son-in-law fell ill, Keshin suggested he be moved to the study for recuperation, but my daughter refused and insisted on keeping him in the inner chambers for better care. Later, when my son-in-law passed away, Keshin blamed my daughter, claiming it was all her fault. He must have insulted my daughter, causing her shame and driving her to seek death to vent her anger." Keshin responded, "The culprit responsible for my sister-in-law's suicide is a Taoist named Yan Huayuan." However, Jiang Guanghua argued, "That Taoist only conducted a day of rituals at our home. How could he suddenly develop immoral intentions and force my daughter to the attic? Moreover, I personally witnessed him leaving with other Taoists after the rituals, and many servants saw it too. Your accusations are all baseless fabrications." Bao Gong inquired. "There were more than one Taoist present that day. Why do you specifically accuse Yan Huayuan? Do you have any evidence?" Keshin cried. "The day before yesterday, when Jiang Guanghua falsely accused me, I heard about this matter and became extremely angry. I collapsed in tears before my brother's tablet and vomited blood before fainting. Later, my soul went to the underworld and met my brother. He comforted me and told me that Yan Huayuan killed my sister-in-law and left behind a packet of money. The money is now with the servant girl Juxiang, and that's the evidence. The cause of my sister-in-law's death is also recorded in the judge's registry of the underworld." I asked Bao Gong to verify it again. Upon hearing this, Bao Gong angrily exclaimed, "What nonsense is this? How dare you speak such nonsense to me?" Immediately, he ordered the bailiffs to give Keshin 30 strokes of the paddle. Keshin continued to plead, "My deceased brother will also come to help me. How could I dare to lie?" Bao Gong sternly rebuked, "If your brother can come to help you, then he will surely come to retaliate against me." At that moment, Bao Gong suddenly felt extremely tired and fell asleep in the courtroom. In his dream, he saw Mia Kejong. Mia Kejong wept and said, "I know you have always been as wise as a god in judging cases. Why did you make a mistake today? The one who raped my wife is the Taoist named Yan Huayuan. My younger brother is innocent. Please quickly find the servant girl Juxiang. She still holds the evidence. The packet of money was originally given to us examinees by the examiner. My wife used it to reward the Taoist, and this incident is also recorded in the household ledger. There are relevant writings on it. Please verify it quickly, punish Taoist Yan, and release my brother Keshin. At this moment, Bao Gong suddenly woke up and sighed to himself. Indeed, it is so. Even ghosts and gods have come to plead their grievances to me. Therefore, he said to Keshin, your words seem true. Your brother has told me everything in my dream. I will definitely seek justice for you. Immediately, he ordered the bailiffs to arrest Zhuxiang, and indeed, the packet of money was found in her room. Bao Gong questioned Zhuxiang. Where did you get the packet of money in your room? Zhuxiang replied. It fell from the master's body that day. At that time, everyone was carrying her downstairs, and I picked it up from behind them. Bao Gong then ordered someone to take Zhuxiang to Shuzhen's room to search for the ledger, and indeed, it was found that the ledger clearly recorded that the packet of money was given to the Taoist Yan Huayuan, with the handwriting being that of Shuzhen. With solid evidence, Bao Gong immediately dispatched the bailiffs to arrest Yan Huayuan. Unexpectedly, as soon as the Taoist arrived in the courtroom and was subjected to a little torture, he immediately confessed and expressed his willingness to accept the blame, stating that the whole incident had nothing to do with Keshin. Bao Gong finally rendered the verdict, and the judgment read as follows. The crimes of Yan Huayuan have been exposed. He recklessly intruded into the realm of Taoism, disrupting the order of the Taoist sect, and succumbed to the sea of desires, coveting the beauty of a woman. After receiving the reward, Yan Huayuan hypocritically claimed to return to the temple, but secretly hastened back. He even climbed onto Shuzhen's bed, behaving despicably. He used poison to drug Shuzhen, betraying the moral conduct expected of a Taoist. He violated the moral principles of the gods he believed in, yet his sins cannot escape punishment. Shuzhen died with grievances. Kejong entrusted me in the mortal world to seek justice for his wife. And the packet of money is the best evidence, with the handwriting on it enough to uncover the real culprit. The deities of Taoism do not allow their followers to indulge in beauty, and the law cannot tolerate individuals like the criminal Yan Huayuan to escape justice. According to the law, Yan Huayuan is guilty as charged and should be punished by beheading, while Keshin, who suffered injustice, should be released according to the law. Jiang Guangguo's extremist actions led to false accusations, and once the case is settled, the wrongly accused will face the death penalty, so he must also receive corresponding punishment. Alright. Today's case story, committing suicide by chewing the tongue, concludes here. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Feel free to leave your comments and share with others. See you again in the next issue.